Some people are saying that this is merely a publicity stunt on the part of Saftu. Remember, Saftu is, if you like, a breakaway from COSATU because one of COSATU's biggest unions or biggest affiliates, NUMSA, broke away and actually is now part of Saftu's biggest union inside that new federation. You also have unions like FAU, who also broke away from COSATU. So, in a way, Uveka, this is Saftu flexing its muscle. Saftu says that it is the biggest, it's the second biggest, rather, trade union federation in the country that comes after COSATU, of course. They're saying they claim to be representing some 800,000 workers. And so this is Saftu, according to other, according to some analysts, this is Saftu flexing its muscles. Remember also, Uveka, that Saftu is quite aggrieved by the fact that they are not part and parcel of NEDLEC, the Labour Council that took resolutions such as, for example, putting into effect the national minimum wage. They have been closed out of that particular structure, and so they're actually saying that they're going to be going to court soon to ensure that they are part and parcel of that particular Labour Council. So they're saying that the reason they are embarking on this nationwide strike is that the national minimum wage is nothing more than a slave wage, because no person can live on 20 rands an hour, or no person can live on 3,500 rands. But you listen to federations like FEDUSA, you listen to federations like COSATU, they're very clear that this is the reason why it is called a minimum wage. It's that you've got to start somewhere. It's by no means a decent wage that people have been calling for, but it has got to start somewhere, because some people are actually earning much less than the proposed 3,500 rands. And so it does appear, Uveka, that the unions, other federations I should say, are completely indifferent to what Saftu is doing today. In fact, they're saying that this strike is self-serving, because workers actually need this particular pace for them to at least earn some kind of living.
So are we thinking, or is it possible that Saftu is sort of biting off more than it can chew at this time, or it's setting itself up for failure today, or is it big enough to make an impact then?
Well, Uveka, the big test is going to be today. Will Saftu be able to show its muscle? Will it be able to encourage many people to not go to work, to participate in this strike? They're calling it a nationwide strike. So we're going to be looking with keen interest to see what the turnout is like in the provinces, because remember, the part of what the unions ultimately do to try and show the employers just how powerful they are is by showing just how many workers they can have out on the streets, and also the kind of impact that will have then on the various businesses. So it's going to be very interesting to see just how much attendance this strike is going to have. And if you listen to people like Xoli Mngambi, the General Secretary of Saftu, he says that this is actually going to show just how massive a strike this is going to be. So today is a big test.
All right, so Saftu just doing this and going out on its own with the support of a couple of others, then, Xoli, who would we say then would suffer at the end of this? I mean, we were looking at members of the likes of FEDUSA and COSATU and how they feel about the minimum wage. But when it comes to Saftu now, is it really considering the best interests of its members? You have to ask.
Well, it is an important question to ask, Uveka, because if workers are going to be put out of their workplaces to, say, go and participate in this strike, at the end of the day, what is Saftu able to achieve if it is not even part of the Labour Council NEDLEC, where these policies or where these laws are enacted? You've got to ask the question, are the workers that are going to be participating in that strike today going to fall foul of the rule of no work, no pay? And if that is the case, would there have been any benefit, therefore, for them to participate in this particular strike? But don't forget, Uveka, that Saftu also has some kind of backing from political parties, for example, like the EFF. They are very clear that they are 100% behind the Trade Union Federation embarking on this nationwide strike. This is to try and demonstrate that radical economic transformation can only happen if trade unions like Saftu embark on this strike action. So it does appear that Saftu is not entirely on its own. It has some kind of backing in some political quarters. But the big question here, Uveka, the big test for Saftu is going to be just how big a strike this is going to be. They're calling it a nationwide strike, and what the attendance is going to be like today.
Thanks very much. Ian says that Xoli Mngambi breaking down the union politics that goes ahead of Saftu's nationwide strike planned for today. All expected, marches expected to kick off at around 10 o'clock countrywide.